Schofield's Flowers podcast, here from the Art District Brewing in downtown LA on Facebook. We look forward to talking to you about brewing beer and true crime in LA.
We're back.
We're here, finally. Little delay, we apologize.
Yes.
Playing with new toys, right? The new Black Magic box.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is this black magic?
Yeah, right, we're both
Is it
in
like
black.
your beer?
I like my beer, it's great.
Is it like your shirt?
Exactly. Oh, shout out to my boys, Benign Rebels. Got the 59 Club here, thank you very much. We got some great guests today, Fratty.
I'm excited for this one. I know when we had this lined up a couple weeks ago, I had it penciled in and ready to go and chomping at the bit to make it happen.
Yeah. Well, first I'd like to shout out to my buddy, Brian Lenzo, who is a partner here at the 213 group here in downtown LA. Brian gave us the opportunity to be here in the speakeasy in the back of the Art District Brewery. Great little place that back here that you can rent out. If you guys, anybody wants to come down and have a private party, which I know my son's coming down in November. We have two really great guests. We have the head brewer here today, David Ziakowski. Yeah, I got it right?
All right.
Like,
we know you're not good with words.
No, actually it's Dave. I apologize. So I mean, I was like, oh God, can we just call you David Z or Dave Z? So and then we also have Bobby Downs, and Bobby is one of the managers here at the Arts District Brewery. And guys, we couldn't be more excited. Why don't you come on up and join us, and make sure you get a full beer. Yeah. Would you mind? Yeah, I'll take a. Can I get another one here?
Yeah, for sure.
And viewers, if you all of a sudden see Scof just staring off, it's not that he's zoning out. There's a football game in the background. They got the games on. What a great place to be at.
Yeah. At first I thought you showed up in a Green Bay jersey here.
Oh no, just rocking the green
right.
limited edition Arts District shirt here.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I like your flat brims. They're really nice, like the one up here. And the food here, I just had a burrito, a breakfast burrito. It was fantastic.
Brunch special.
Yeah,
Brunch
unbelievable.
on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, really
it's pretty
good.
delicious.
So, guys, thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And here, I'm going to put the mics closer to you guys, if you don't mind. I'll even slide out. So, let me ask you, like, LA craft beer scene down in LA. Crazy, huh?
Yeah, it's definitely in the past few years exploded. So
We're up to 8, 9-ish breweries that are in downtown right now.
Oh, wow.
We have a lot of like very, very close neighbors right here. We have another brewery on our street, so we're not even the only ones on traction. But we've all formed a pretty tight-knit little community. We meet once a month, actually, all of the brewing staff, and we have sort of an unofficial guild. So we hang out and we advocate for each other, and we design events together. So we do a festival twice a year, actually.
Oh, wow.
Called the DTLA Brewers United is the name of our little group, and it's the Triangle Fest that's right here on Traction.
Oh, wow.
So we just had one. We just had one in July.
Okay.
Next one we are planning for January, for a more winter as you can get here.
Yeah. But it's cold. I mean, I find myself at...
You do wear a scarf every now and then. You wear scarves every now and then.
Yeah, I do. I'm out of costume. I
know.
Apologize.
It's summer right now.
I gave some girl a card of mine, and she says, "You're out of costume. I don't want to talk to you." Right? Okay.
So how did, I guess, Arts District kind of be a hub for craft beer?
Arts District, I think this whole area, despite even just, besides the brewing, has been exploding over the past 7 or 8 years. I mean,
yeah.
I think you were more of a fixture of downtown area before I ever was.
It was definitely
down
more
here.
downtown, was kind of centered more on like the financial historic core, even like 5 years ago. And just in the past 4 or 5 years, the Arts District has really exploded with new restaurants and bars and different cool stuff. It used to be just warehouses, and it was not where the artists' lofts were, where
right.
people like artists would just be here because it was cheap warehouse living spaces that weren't necessarily coded for a living, but people were just
What was
doing
this?
what-
So our building's owned by Crazy Gideon. He was famous fixture of the LA, known for his insane commercials that would air really late at night. He ran basically a wholesale electronics store out of this building, and his really stood up to his title of Crazy Gideon. He would his commercials would be him throwing VCRs off the roof and screaming like, "Look how crazy I am, and how you'll get a good deal if you come down to because I'm crazy." And he's actually still our landlord of this place, so we deal with Crazy Gideon.
That's crazy.
No,
To,
he's crazy, yeah.
Crazy rich.
But yeah.
At this point.
You got this building in this neighborhood right now.
Right.
Jesus, you got to be doing well.
So there's a lot of interesting characters floating around this block and this area. But yeah, to go back to the squatting artists lofts, I think before this was, when this was Gideon's building, someone was saying Skrillex was squatting on the upper floor
Yeah, one the
of
upper
our
floors,
building.
Apparently, yeah.
Wow.
Jesus, that's
It was
one
like
of my
musicians
favorite
and
bands.
artists.
So
right.
Crazy Gideon and
Yeah.
Skrillex are friends, and it's a weird combo, but it's out there somewhere.
So I guess what's the relation or I guess unity of the vitalization of downtown LA with all these breweries coming in? Was it that downtown was kind of becoming a boom and then breweries came in, with that, or was it more the other way around where there's these huge warehouses wide open? It's like, well, this could work for us, and then downtown started, popularity.
I think
and
that's the
everything.
normal trend you can track in other areas, that people put up their breweries in places where they can find cheap, large square footage available. And the craft community is willing to drive to get to places to go visit some warehouse park where there's nothing else to do at least once.
Right.
And then it's a real struggle for them to snowball that into a following if you can't get that many people to keep returning to it. I think there was just the right time at the right place where was still cheap real estate available here, especially on the outskirts, not currently exactly where we are, but
Right.
like our neighbors, some of our neighbors that are in the downtown group are in developing areas, and they scooped in at just the right time. And so everything's coming up around them, and they have transit access, they have other businesses that are propping them up. So I think this is a really unique area where it's sort of a blend between the two of being an established destination, but still having pockets where people can, on a small budget, get something done.
Yeah.
Now, what about so obviously, I mean, the 213 group, how many different, restaurants and different types of
What are we up
places?
to?
There's probably closer to 20 at this point.
Wow.
Counting LA, they've recently expanded to Austin and planning on opening up a couple of bars in Denver now too. So
Wow. I
It's
mean,
definitely-
I smoke cigars with Brian, and we get talking about it. And I've been here several times. My kids all come here and have cocktails. Actually, I think they were here last night, right? And
Research.
Research, right?
They're just checking the place out for you.
Exactly. But I mean, it's just like what Brian said to me was really, and then I told him, I said, every time I came here, everybody was so helpful and so great, and I said, wow, you have such great employees. And he says, we do our best, right? We really try. And he mentioned that, like, if you're with the company for over 3 months, you get a free beer everywhere you go and things like that. I mean, is that?
Yeah, it's a really cool. Like if you stick it out for 90 days or whatever for our employees, they get a little 213 coin, which basically you go to any of the 2 and 3 bars and it's like a free family drink with. It's like you show them your coin, they know you're part of the 2 and 3 family, and it's like, hey, here's your first drinks on us. So it's a really cool the way that the company kind of supports. I mean, it started out down here. It was Golden Gopher and Broadway Bar, I think, were the 2 first ones they had downtown.
Yeah.
That was back when there was nothing downtown. Like you tell people you're coming downtown to go to a bar, and they're like, are you crazy? Like, there's homeless people everywhere. Like, isn't it dangerous down there? And they kind of were the first people in the bottom floor of that revitalization of downtown LA. So
That's great. I mean, I grew up in the city in Chicago, and I just, I love coming down here. I mean, especially this area. But I mean, I also have tickets to the to the Kings and I go over in that area. I mean, totally different vibe. It's more like being on 42nd Street in New York right now. But I mean, I do like what they're doing for the city. It's really, really great. And it's great that you guys are supporting it. So what beer trends are you guys seeing coming up? Because I know, Fratty, you're the beer guy out of all of us.
Beer guy.
Yes.
What trends?
I mean, like, because I feel like, you know, IPAs became the wave that everyone was jumping on, every brewery. I'm not going to name names, but certain ones were really good at other beers, and then they saw the canning, the special releases, and just jumped on, switch gears, and just, you know, to turn a profit, which it makes sense. They're in a business, and they're still brewing, they're still doing the same thing, but like, then like the sours started coming in. I think those are kind of getting to their peak. I've been seeing a lot of lagers, especially like Mexican lagers, but like, whatever's in now is not what's going to be in, you know, next year necessarily. So as the head brewer, like, what are you experimenting with? What are you seeing other breweries doing that you're going to want to try to, you know, mess around with here?
I think lagers are still like solidifying themselves as a mainstay on a brewery's board now. They have had a good comeback lately. I'm drinking Oktoberfest Fest beer that is seasoned for Oktoberfest. So
Tell people how to say that.
Gesamtkunstwerk is the name of the beer.
Yep.
We bartenders always say like if people have trouble pronouncing some of the names of the beers, so I named
try
one.
to pronounce your name.
Yeah, I was like, oh, well, let me throw a curveball at you. So I named it Gesamtkunstwerk. It's a term that Wagner sort of created. It means total work of art. It's like the concept of interdisciplinary, like multiple professions or like abilities coming together to form like more of a piece. So when I heard that, like that describes brewing to me. So I thought like, oh, I got to name it that. But as far as other beer trends, I think something that I've actually been seeing a lot of people do lately, and that we have a few beers like this, is more like pulling inspiration from the cocktail world to come up with like recipe inspiration. We have a Moscow Mule Saison that we've had for a while with lime and ginger in it. But I have kind of like a tiki beer right now with coconut and lime in it, and it's like citra.
In his place. It was fantastic.
So actually, one of the beers you guys have from another brewery, the Maui Imperial Coconut, is one of my favorite. Was out there in Maui. It's the only place you really can get it.
Yeah.
Come here if you like porters. One of the best I've ever had. And then that kind of got us into the tiki craze. So now we're going to all sorts of tiki bars and learning about the tiki revival. And we decided to have a tiki party. And Scof and his wife came on down and joined it. And in a couple weeks, actually, Laguna Beach is having this tiki party. So I'm in on this tiki beer.
Yeah.
I actually did a pina colada slushy out on the patio using the beer as well.
Oh yeah,
so.
the beer's in the slushy, but it's called
rum and beer.
That's
called,
a good Sunday brunch beer hangover time, right?
It's called Welcome to the Jungle.
Okay.
It's coconut, toasted coconut, lime, and then it's citra dry hops. So there's still like some hop interplay that matches like the tropical like theme of the other ingredients. But we've also we were at another brewery recently, Common Space, that had like a Negroni inspired saison. It had a really strong like aromatic bitters quality to it that matched the like phenolic quality of the saison yeast really well. So I definitely think that there's a lot of ideas to harvest from that world that I'm trying to lean on a little bit more recently. I think that's I'm on board for that trend and return of lagers. So more lagers.
Let me ask you. So it looks like we have 4 different types of beer. What is
Oh
this?
yeah, what do we have here? I don't know.
He's got the Imperial
Coconut Porter from Maui.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, we're trying to get you drunk.
Yeah. So what's 9.5?
Yeah.
Wow. And then Steve over here, a shot of whiskey. Thanks. And then what are you drinking?
This one is actually the hoppy Imperial Pale Lager, basically, Baja.
Okay.
It was brewed actually for Brian Lenzo's 10-year anniversary party for his other bar, Blue Palms. So.
Oh yeah, which I'm a big fan of, and that's in Hollywood, off of Hollywood.
Yeah, that was one of the forerunners of the craft beer scenes in LA. So.
Yeah, I love it, even though he is an Ohio State fan.
Yeah.
What am I going to say?
Nobody's perfect, right?
Actually, I turned into one.
I have the Hello Darkness.
Oh,
Fred.
nice. Schwartz beer. Yeah.
Yes. Schwartz beer.
Schwarzbier. Yeah, Hello Darkness, my old friend. It's super low ABV, very drinkable, like nutty.
Yeah. Like
just
Scof.
enough malt for color, basically. So I'm on I've been keeping a few lagers on lately. I've got a lot of Oktoberfest. I have that. I have a smoked Helles lager, which is really interesting to pair like a smoke component without having the roast present. Most smoked beers that you find are stouts or porters. I think in a pale beer, it creates a lot of really neat like vanilla wood aromatics that is a lot like softer and more perfumey, if that makes sense, instead of like creating a barbecue or savory component.
I'd love to actually, as a follow-up to this, I'd love to come by and actually watch you, like, throwing your magic in.
Yeah, for sure. We can set that up.
I just imagine you're running around this, like, above each of these big vats. It's like,
Pretty much.
They're
all
these oats in.
They're all spread out here too, so we're like going back and forth all day long.
I just envision like wearing like a trench coat and just having like all these bags of different things, and you're just like, it's just all about feel. You're like a little more of this, and then over here running across, dropping something else in, and then a little something over there, and it's just like
Making his magic
no one
potions.
knows what the heck you're doing.
Like a witch doctor.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much. As much as there is like a lot of consistency and rigorous stuff in there, like there are mornings where I'm just like, I'm feeling a little like weird today. I might do something that I did not plan on in the last week leading up to this, and just like toss something else in there.
Like right over your
yeah,
shoulder.
Yeah,
like,
kind of.
get rid of bad luck.
Yeah.
Well, let's see how this goes, and it's been pretty successful so far. So
What's like your process from starting with like the recipe? So coming up with an idea, then you gotta figure out the recipe, and then kind of tie it off with a name. Like, what's kind of your process to do that?
I think like I'll come across weird ingredients or flavor combinations that from other areas, like exactly like the cocktail thing, or food is actually a big source of inspiration. But finding the interplay between different actual ingredients that are like a main flavor driver, like a fruit or a type of hop, but then trying to decide like, well, how do I want someone to feel when they drink this? Like, do I want this to be like a crispy, like cleansing beer, or should it have more like presence? Like, what's the attitude of like what it should be creating, or what sort of an influence you should be getting from it? And then as far as creating the recipe, that all comes sort of just through trial and error. My background comes from homebrewing actually for the past 8 or 9 years, like obsessively. Like I have my own draft system in my kitchen, and I have 4 beers on tap at home in my kitchen, and I have a fermentation temperature controlled chamber. I only make 5 gallons at a time. It's still pretty small setup wise, but I have my home equipment like dialed in from doing that from so much. And I haven't homebrewed in a long time, since really being here all day.
I just imagine you walking around with one of those baseball helmets with the beers on each side,
So I still
throwing little things in the pot.
Right. He's always having a beer.
I still do some extra wacky stuff at home that is a bit too. There are things you can get away with when you're only making 5 gallons of beer that I can't do when I'm making 525 gallons of beer here in a single batch. So, like extra hard to process fruit that I'm curious how that can fit into a beer I'll do at home. But then, or other playing around with souring bacteria or wild yeast is more of a home project. We do have a pretty expansive sour program going on here right now. We have 50 wine barrels, 2 foeders, which are essentially fermentation vessels that are full size, like a normal tank, but they're made out of oak.
Wow.
So I have a few foeder beers. I have a foeder beer on tap right now. And I have another one that I'm going to transfer out of a foeder next week. So there'll be a few more foeder beers on soon.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's like anything now. I mean, my wife's a big wine drinker, and I enjoy beers, but after a couple I feel bloated, so I'm always going to the scotches, and then it's the same thing with everything right now. It's just anyone's taste bud, whatever you really like. And I love hearing the fact that you started as a home brewer, because I think that would be what we did mention on Facebook Live and things in or Facebook earlier, is that like if you want to learn something about brewing, I mean, that's how you got your job, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
He
Like, if
actually
somebody wanted
started
to
as
be-
a bar back here and
Really?
started bar backing, bartending. He was like, he kept being like, hey, I want to do more brewing. I do home brewing. I'm super interested in the brewing. So we're like, cool, we'll throw him downstairs in the brewer with in the brewery and see how it works out. And I guess he's doing all right. So.
it's doing okay.
Right. That's fantastic. That really is. I mean, yeah. So then, so I mean, I guess the advice you get would just get into home brewing, right? And start working at a brewery.
It's definitely. I mean, there's like a perfect storm of a lot of things that happened to me. And also I can't understate how much time and effort I spent on this. It wasn't like a once every couple of months thing. It was just all I did all day on the weekends was read, go buy various groupings of a style of beer, brew that beer at home, fail miserably. My homebrew wasn't good for like 4 or 5 years.
Right.
But it had alcohol in it.
I made my
could
friends
drink
very
it.
happy. I actually was having trouble like getting rid of it, so I had like I needed to I wanted to keep brewing, but only have so much space. So I'm really good friends with all my neighbors. Everyone in my apartment building comes over and drinks beer, and it's solving a problem for me because I need space to make more beer at home.
Right.
I was mainly wanting to make beer, not necessarily for consumption, but
Right.
for understanding what my actions caused later at the end for the
Right.
end product. And also, my other background is my family owned for my entire life up until a few months ago. My dad owned his own business that was a machine shop, metal fabrication business.
Oh,
And so that is what I grew up in my entire life. And so having some like knowledge of a commercial environment, fabrication skills, like design skills,
Right.
really is, I would even say, more translatable to working in a brewery than the homebrewing experience. So that is like a very large leg up that I had to achieve, like actually like proving that I could like stand my ground in the brewery and like be a contributing member.
That's great.
Besides
That's
just on the brewing knowledge.
so like I know you guys have a new brewery coming up in the train station.
There's a
here
second
downtown
brewery.
LA.
I'm gonna grab another beer if you want something.
I'll get your
Yeah,
business guy. We'll
they're,
get to-
they're expanding the brewing group basically.
Wow.
So the new one, it's going to be called Imperial Western, and it's
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's opening up in Union Station in downtown LA. They're shooting for the beginning of October, so
Oktoberfest.
the goal is the first week of October is what they're telling us.
Oh, that's fantastic. And
It's
then-
still like it's a beautiful. It's the old. I think it's the Fred Harvey space. It used to be just like a big event room, and it's like so. It's a historic room that they've had to do a lot of work to. They've restored a lot of pieces that were kind of defunct and not working. That they found the old blueprints and plans for, like a lot of the lighting fixtures and stuff. They've had refabricated to match what it used to be, and they kind of built around the space instead of just like tearing it up and making it brand new
yeah,
and
more
shiny.
history.
Yeah.
Putting the history into it.
Yeah,
There's
it's-
a place in Penn Station like that in New York. Ed, do you remember? You know the name of that place in Penn Station? Anybody know the name of it? No. All right. But it's really, really cool. I mean, you go there. You know, if you got to go to Boston, or you got to go anywhere in Vermont or anywhere, in, you know, close out on the on the east side, out east. I mean, they got this great bar there that's just got
Yeah.
the best beers, more about scotch and martinis there, but it's really fantastic.
Thank
And it
you.
really
Yeah.
adds to the flavor of down. I mean, you're hustling, you got to get to the train. It's nice to get to a place to
Exactly.
have a cold brew.
Somewhere you can have a quick drink and a cocktail or beer while you're waiting for the train to show up.
Yep.
There's actually going to be 213 does. I mean, they originally started doing like more cocktail spirits bars. So connected to the brewery is going to they have another bar called the Streamliner. It's going to be more cocktail forward, like focused, but more like quick cocktails for the people that are like in a rush. It's not going to be like, hey, this cocktail has 20 ingredients and takes us 10 minutes to make. Oh, your train's going to be here in 5 minutes. Sorry, like, it's going to be like more fast but still really tasty cocktails. It's going to be run by Eric Elprin, who's responsible for like the Varnish, which is the speakeasy down at Coles, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, a few
So
others.
are you guys staying here, or anybody going over there? Or?
A few of our,
We're staying here. But Devin, who was my head brewer since the opening of Arts District, is moving over for head brewer of Imperial Western, and we hired Eric Garcia, who came from Eagle Rock Brewing.
Okay.
Like amazing guy, very
Yeah.
large member of the LA craft beer scene.
Love
really
that
excited
place.
to have him on board. But he was brewing with me here for the past few months, and also they're producing beer now, so they have maybe 4 beers that they've brewed, and the 2 of them have moved over.
And Eric might be nerdier
Essentially.
about beer than Dave is.
Yeah.
So it's impressive.
Wow.
Yeah,
Those
the
two
2
are
of us
working
are just
together,
on
yeah.
like a feedback loop when we hang out together, and we just like could talk about it all day.
So for those of you who want to actually learn about brewing, we're going to give away Dave's address here. Dave sees
Oh
it.
yeah, come drink all of my homebrew. It's getting old right
I'm
now.
pretty sure if you had your management team like announce that, hey, we have a home brewer in here, gives out free beer, they'll sell the place out.
Ladies' night on the
Yeah. And you can probably get your place rented out for free because you'll have 100% filled rooms there. But Bobby, I know we jumped in real quick and started talking all sorts of stuff. I want to step back and kind of talk more about like 213 Group, all the different places that it has, kind of the history of it, and then obviously a little more about Art District Brewing Company here and like what you guys got going on here.
Okay, yeah, 213. So it's basically Sed Moses is like the kind of the face of the 213 Group. He's the main proprietor. He has partners in pretty much all of his other bars that are kind of like depending on their special talents and what bars they were looking to open. But I guess like I said, it kind of started with Golden Gopher and Broadway Bar downtown. They expanded with, I don't know if it was 7 Grand, maybe it was kind of like their first really big like single spirit, like the big crazy whiskey bar that everybody like was like a destination for downtown for people drinking. It's like, oh, you got to go check out 7 Grand. They've got all the cool whiskey cocktails and everything. And it's like they have Coles, which was one of the 2. There's an argument between Coles and Philippe's, which is the originator of the French dip sandwich.
Love Philippe's.
Yeah.
Coles was opened in 1903.
Something like that, yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
they took over Coles, and Casey's is the Irish pub downtown. That's kind of a basement Irish
Yep.
pub. It's like a old school. You walk in, you're like, oh yeah, this is an Irish pub. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, that's kind of the home of like the big downtown St. Patty's Day. It's now a block party. It used to be just their bar, like through the and it's grown, so they shut off like 2 or 3 blocks now. I think
geez.
it's insane. Yeah,
Yeah, I
So
mean,
it's just-
it's one of my favorite. I love that bar.
Yeah.
That's great.
but yeah,
Where?
just
Do you
the
like
whole
an
group
Irish
is-
bar?
Yeah, exactly. I like pretty much any bar.
They're all Irish once you get some Irishmen in there, right?
Yeah, right?
It's like that's all it takes. A couple Irish guys in the bar. It's an Irish bar.
Exactly.
But yeah, so they got that, and they expanded. The 7 Grand was such a hit doing whiskey. They kind of expanded to the Las Perlas. It's like a agave, mezcal, tequila. They do canya. It's a rum bar that they do great like salsa nights. They have a nice like smoking cigar lounge in the back. It's a really cool spot. What else is downtown now? Tony's is more of a neighborhood bar that's
Oh, you
over in
guys
the
are
Arts District
Tony's
as well.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love
Tony's
that
like
area.
a
That
roadhouse.
area.
Yeah.
Like-
Great for like shooting
yeah.
an old movie.
Oh yeah, it's
Oh, my
a
God.
great like little
Yeah.
dark dive bar. Like when you think of dive bar, like you walk in Tony's, like oh yeah, this is what I was thinking
But
of.
it's
like,
so well done. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not like dive bar that you would think is a dive bar. It's like, it's art directed beautifully.
yeah, but yeah, you walk in and it's like it's not dirty, but it looks you're like oh yeah, this is dark, and I can kind of bring
Yeah.
my friends, and I'm not gonna get
Yeah.
you're not gonna have the like woo girls and college kids coming
Yeah,
in
yeah,
and trying to throw a
I don't
party.
think they
and,
would
yeah.
last at Tony's.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
they get eaten up, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then that whole area across the street now is like growing beyond belief.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
everything.
Great shops over there, some great Japanese designers over there. It's a really nice area.
Yeah,
So
the
then
whole
going
Arts
into Art District, kind of, let everyone that hasn't been here know a little more about the concept, what you guys got going here.
So I think what happened is they saw the craft beer scene was kind of getting bigger. They had all these other single spirits bars. Like, oh, let's get into the brewing scene, beer scene. So I think that's when they reached out to Brian Lenzo, who, like I said, he had some Blue Palms. He's one of like the forerunners of the like craft beer scene in LA. To open up a brewery and get it going. And this is actually the first production brewery in LA that also has a full liquor license.
Oh wow.
So most breweries are
Those are
allowed
hard
to
to come
sell
by.
beer only. Yeah, they can sell their own beer and maybe a couple of guest taps or whatever. But we actually have a full bar, so because we came from the 213, they're kind of cocktail hospitality side.
Right.
We're like, oh, if we're gonna do a brewery, it still has to do cocktails. So our cocktail program, we kind of like to say that we have something for everyone here. We'll do anything from a adios to a paper plane to if you want just a beer and a shot, and that's what I drink. So
Agreed.
yeah, so it's something we got wine, cider. It's kind of an all around like. If you come here and you can't find something you want to drink, you probably aren't a drinker. Like
Okay. And then there you got food, you got games.
food. There's games like for Saturday, Sunday. We open at noon. People bring in their families. Kids play skee ball. We've got some video games as well. And
Kids, can kids come in with family?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's all ages up till like 7 p.m. ish. Then we start
Okay.
checking IDs at the door. After 7, it's underage with parent and guardian, and then 10 p.m. we have to have.
Okay. I went in my,
After 10,
kids.
it's
All right.
21 and up.
So you and the grandkids are going to be hanging out here a
Yeah.
lot more.
Yeah, and Michael is like, Oliver will be walking in like, hey, don't worry about it.
Apparently, skee ball machines make great babysitters. We've learned.
I bet,
Kids love
right.
throwing those balls and they don't make it all the way up the ramp, so it comes back. So like one game will take them like 30 minutes.
All right, we got a
5 kids.
a fan question here for the Union Station Brewery. What's the beer selection going to be like there? Is it going to be continuation of here? Is it going to have its own kind of offshoot breweries or beers there?
As far as what I know they're up to right now, the main thing that's different about the second brewery compared to us is that the food from the restaurant is more integrated into the experience. So if the dining experience will be a little bit more like here, we basically have like a food window where you order, and we're making burgers, wings, nachos,
Breakfast burritos.
At breakfast burritos. At Union Station, it's we actually hired David Lentz, who came from Hungry Cat, to be the chef. There's going to be oysters, raw bar, a lot more seafood. The beer is going to be a little bit more geared towards matching with that experience. So there will be a lot of sours eventually down the road, which as far as production time takes a while for that to appear. There might actually be some Art District sours on tap at Imperial Western when they open to help them out with the sour beer. But I know they're also making an oyster stout, which is a really neat concept
Yes.
to have on.
I've had one of those at, I'm going to blank on Gunwale down in Costa
Gunwale.
Mesa. They have an oyster stout there.
I'm pretty sure Craftsman's made an oyster
Yeah,
stout,
they've
right?
done one,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Fantastic.
really tasty. So I know they're making an oyster stout. They have a few lagers in tanks right now. They have a Vienna lager and a Mexican lager. We also, as 2 and 3, just created basically a side project of a juicing company to supply only our own bars. So we're getting fresh juice every day instead of having every single bar have a bar back juicing fruit all day. And it's allowing just a new like economy of scale for them to like supply juice every day, save the bars a lot of headache. But they're working with the juice, the 2 and 3 juicery to come up with some like Shandy Radler combos to do like some juice options to add to Mexican lager or Kolsch. I know they've got a Crystal Weizen in a tank right now, so we just recently got a filter. Schwarzbier's filtered. My Oktoberfest I was drinking earlier is filtered, so it's a new toy that's fun that we're playing around with. So they're going to filter basically a Weiss beer for Crystal Weizen. So as far as I know what they're doing over there, that's what they've got right now sitting in tanks. I don't know if they want me talking about this either. But
Don't worry.
You're
no one will see this.
I won't tell them if you do. If you don't, Dave.
okay, yeah.
We
Just
didn't-
nobody go find like Devin or Eric and tell them that.
Yeah,
Please,
we
there
didn't
are
tag you on
100,000
anything or put it out there to anyone.
watching us right now.
Yeah.
You're fucked.
But as far as down the road, they have a couple fooders too. They're definitely focusing on creating a sour program sooner than we did here at Arts Districts as a pairing with the seafood. Nice like sour beer with some oysters is a good combo. So that's the extent of my knowledge of what's going on over there.
Cool.
But
No, so you don't know anything.
That's it. Yeah.
I don't know
Not much.
That was pretty much it.
Perfect.
So,
Scof.
go ahead, Fred.
I mean, I don't know where you're at, but I know we like true crime.
Yeah, we do.
And I think it's about that time that we
Yeah.
start talking
Prohibition.
some more true crime.
So yeah, I mean, for those of you who don't know me, I grew up in a Wise Guy flower shop where Dean O'Banion, the Irish gangster, was killed by Al Capone. My grandfather was his partner. O'Banion worked for my grandfather from about that big. And then when he became a big shotty Wise Guy, then he laid 10 grand on the table. And he said, I'd love to have the upstairs bedroom as my hideaway and my front. And that's why we call our company Schofield's Flowers. And that's what our podcast is about. So we always talk about true crime, and we talk about, we've fallen into this lifestyle area. And we just, I think beer and whiskey and any type of booze is going to be a big thing with us along with food. But what do you guys know about the true crime aspects? Like, do you know about King Eddie's downtown and all the tunnels and everything?
Yeah, so I used to work for one of the companies that owned King Eddie's a few years back.
Right.
And yeah, it's pretty crazy, the tunnels under there. They have the doors, they're kind of collapsed, some of the tunnels, you can't really go too far in there, but it's a crazy like murals on the walls and the basement there, and they have like paintings of like kegs, like old school, like giant wooden kegs with the taps on the side.
Yeah.
It was like a little speakeasy underneath King Edward Hotel, I guess.
Isn't that kind of blowing your cover?
Well, you had to get down there to see them. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking
Yeah.
when I was watching that video on the tunnels. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you made it so far, and then you painted that there's a beer being served
Right.
on the wall, and I
Yeah.
was not following that logic. But
Well, considering
yeah.
it went to City Hall
Yeah, what
and all
they're
the
saying
City
is the
Hall
tunnels
people were
went back.
going there,
Yeah.
the cops were going there. I think Scof knows a little bit
Yeah,
about dirty cops.
supposedly-
You know?
Yeah, supposedly those tunnels went straight to like City Hall, and
Yeah.
the police chief and the mayor, apparently that's where that was the speakeasy they all would come down to through City Hall, just through the tunnels, so nobody saw them coming in. And
That's crazy.
apparently that's the story, at least. Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, yeah. Well, I don't think, I mean, as much as they wanted to get rid of booze, they just caused a bigger wanting for booze, right?
Right.
I mean, back in the day. Yeah, I mean, it's like with us and true crime. I mean, it's been pretty interesting. We just did a book release at the Mob Museum. I wrote a book of short stories, and I've been talking to some really cool publishers in New York. So it looks like I'm going to be writing a memoir about that. And I mean, any other gangster stuff you guys know about in LA? Or you guys stay away?
I'm
from
pretty
true
green.
crime?
I don't.
Not a ton as far as like prohibition stuff. I know, like, was it like San Antonio Winery stayed open because it?
Yeah.
Yep.
they've been around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they made church wine, so
Yep.
that's how they were allowed to stay open.
Yeah,
Which-
it was like I guess wine would still be able to produce for church,
Mm-hmm.
but like anything else, there's loopholes, and
Yeah.
so they're still the longest open, I think, California winery
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah, and that's just a couple miles down the road here. I know there was a big deal when they finally reinstated this, being able to open a distillery in California, which a few of them downtown in LA. We have the like green bars right down the street, and Spirit Guild.
The
is
Spirit
one of
Guild
the
we
ones
actually partner with for a beer here.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually done the tour there. We talked about it on a previous episode. I went down
Oh, yeah?
and did the tour, which is kind of a cool little thing just to see it. And I had no idea that gin and vodka were that close into how they're made, because I absolutely cannot stand vodka, but I can enjoy gin to some degree. I'm more of a whiskey and rum drinker, but they make it out of clementines. They're the only distillery to make vodka and gin out of clementines, and I had just straight sips of both the vodka and the gin, and it was phenomenal.
It's
Yeah.
pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
I actually don't spend a lot of time learning or experiencing things about spirits. I'm pretty much just only on beer. But Spirit Guild stuff is actually really refreshing and nice to try. So what we're doing here with them, our partnership is that when they do a batch of their gin, they are running a distillation through botanicals, and they have their own botanical blend that I think has like 20 or 25 things in it. A lot of sage, cinnamon, juniper, orange peel. I think there's a lot of other wacky stuff in there that they don't really fill me in on the whole story. But we're taking the spent botanicals. I get a big trash bag full of like twigs and berries that have already had majority of their flavor compounds sucked out of them, and I brew an English pale ale and then soak all of this in it, and it imparts like a really unique, almost like gingerbread, Christmassy, snappy juniper, gingery, sagey, like herbal component to it.
What's this beer called?
So right now it's called Botanical Gardener. Okay. We've been getting the botanicals from them and then putting it in a few different base beers.
Okay.
So we'll have like Mateo, which is our golden ale, and then Botanical Mateo. I wanted to design a more like traditionally English base for it to fit in, so it matched thematically to what we were doing. As far as just the origins of gin, and it's just gives off, it's such a good Christmas beer, and that's actually another good cocktail inspiration beer that we do here.
So not to get back off topic of prohibition
but anyway,
and
sorry.
all that,
I'm contributing my beer stories.
But I actually want to continue down that path. Have you ever, or do you guys ever barrel age any of your beers here?
We have some barrel aged beer. We've done two releases. We did one that was just sort of in-house for friends and family, our very first one. But we have barrel-aged Scotch Ale from High West Barrels. That was our second anniversary beer from last December.
Big fan of theirs.
I still have a couple, well, remind me before you guys go, so I have a couple bottles floating around still. But,
That's the only reason we can.
We have also a beer coming out very soon that's our oatmeal stout, Velveteen Rabbit, that was aged in Redemption rye barrels. It has a really neat, just like fudge and like cola flavor in it, but we're gonna release that soon at the bar. That's sitting in bottle conditioning right now. It's called Umbra Avena. We name all of our barrel releases Latin names.
Got it.
So with the Umbra series is all of our spirit barrels stored beers, and Aurora is all the wine barrel sours.
Got it. I thought it was just Scof being a umbre.
No, I mean, geez, you can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Just with beer.
Beer. Right.
I've done it before.
I mean, that's crazy. Yeah, but it's so. I mean, just having the different beers here today, it's just great.
Getting back to the, I guess, prohibition. I know a lot of the ABC laws stem from prohibition era, and then obviously when it got repealed, they just kind of loosened them a little bit. I mean, kind of walk through or talk about some of the stuff that it takes to be a brewery and the laws you gotta adhere to.
I'll let you take it.
I mean, something that's really specific to us that goes back to also what we were talking about earlier, that we are able to provide a full bar with spirits. We are a separate license type than what most breweries are, which are viewed as a production facility. Since the product they're producing is beer, people can come in and drink it. Here, we're classified as a retail facility, and because of that, we can serve liquor, but what that prohibits is us selling beer to go. So people, like, we are bottling beer, but you can't take it home. We can't fill growlers. It's for on-site consumption only.
Got it.
So because of that hindrance, we work with a distributor to take beer, and then they can supply it elsewhere for a sale. So 3-tier system is basically what was put in place. That was an attempt to break up like tied houses, which was viewed as a source of like, from my knowledge, was viewed as a problem pre-prohibition. So that you have basically a middleman acting between you and the final sale point. What's beautiful about our license is that we can be our own sale point, and we have a direct customer communication. But there are different roadblocks to that people can't walk out of here with a can of beer. So there's other things we can do, like sell beer to the distributor and have people pick it up off-site that we're doing. But yeah, and it's basically all I can say is that it's exactly like what you're saying, a remnant of, I think, like prohibition law.
Right.
That they felt this was the correct like strategy to devise, and then it hasn't really been changed since. So
Cool.
Yeah, no, I'm good with that.
I think you have to be Scof unless you're gonna go campaign to change some liquor
I
laws.
don't think I'd be changing anything. I'd rather drink and be happy. So I don't really have any other questions. Are you, Fratty? What's your thoughts? Anything else on true crime or anything?
No, I think there's lots of beer here that needs to be drinking.
Yeah,
So
right. We got people waiting.
We got
standing
people.
by to drink.
we got some football on. I think
yeah.
everyone's ready to get back
Football and
to
beer.
their Sunday. So
I do have a few updates, and guys, we could let you go, and then we can give our updates. And
All right.
thank-
Yeah, let's do
Does
it.
that mean you need a refill? Is that-
yeah, I do actually. Thank you. Here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dave. And
Thank you.
Bobby, thank you very much.
Yeah,
It's been
for
great.
sure.
Yeah,
Thanks.
really knowledgeable too. So, all right, Fratty. Well, we're going to wrap up here, but we do have some thank yous and things like that. And
Yes,
that's why
please.
That's why I brought my my computer here.
Well, while you're getting yourself figured out, I just want to say anyone that needs caffeine, anyone that drinks energy drinks, drinks coffee in the morning, I partnered up with a company out of Canada called Eagle Energy. It's eagle.energy. If you go to their website, use my promo code FRATTY20, FRATTY20. You're going to get 20%. It's no nicotine, no addictive, inhalable caffeine pen. You take 20 consecutive puffs, and you get probably one of the best cases of energy, all natural, ginseng, taurine, guarana. So if you're into energy drinks, you drink a lot of coffee, you get up early in the morning, you're up late, you need a kick, head to eagle.energy and use promo code FRATTY for 20% off all your purchases.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Scamming on the side, are you?
Always. You don't pay me enough.
Right. Well, I got some a few announcements. So, Schofield's Flowers has just gone on its own, and I have gone on with. I'm going into business with a great friend of mine that I've been friends with forever, Ed Rivero from Havoc and Cortez, and Leslie's here too from Havoc, and with her boyfriend who's actually grew up in my wife's neighborhood. That's crazy. I can't wait to get together with you.
I thought you were going to go in a different direction there.
No,
I'm
no.
glad.
Right? No. And then also we have, so thank you. I'm so excited to be, I had a very good partnership with my past company and Rossi, and went really well, and thank you. And but I'm excited about this next chapter in life, and we're really going to be going after original and branded content. And Ed and I we were on the road for 2 weeks. We didn't kill each other, and he's a hell of a good roommate. And he likes to sleep on the left side. I like to sleep on the right. Just teasing. TMI. And then so let's talk about our episodes.
Yes.
And Gus also here, who's from the office, who's been cutting out all my ums and all my you knows.
By the way, when you watch our episodes, every time he says you know, you got to drink.
Yeah, go broke.
Good luck.
Right? What's going on with our iTunes? What's going on with all our episodes? So we're done, right?
Yeah, so we're going to be shortly launching all of our episodes on iTunes, so you can download our channel, download the episodes. You're in your car, you're driving around. You'll be able to catch up with the first season, and then as we start recording these new ones, as you're hearing today, there'll be a slight delay, but then we'll get them up on iTunes. So if you're not able to watch on Facebook Live or on YouTube, you can always check them out on iTunes as you're driving, and join in on the fun as you're commuting around LA, which we know can take a little bit of time.
Yeah, exactly. And then because now I'm going from Sherman Oaks to Marina Del Rey, so I got a lot of time to listen to myself. That's right. So then also, I've written a book of short stories, as you know, and we had the opening at the Mob Museum in Las Vegas, but I've taken those short stories now. They're going to be audiobooks. They'll be on iTunes also. I'm just working with Margarita Mix, which I can't thank enough. They're working on all our audio and putting all the background.
We're having margaritas?
Yeah. And trust me, they have margaritas at 5 o'clock every day. So, yeah, so I'll be working with them and getting all the ambience music and everything and sound effects and everything on there. So I'm really, really excited. It came out really fantastic. I can't thank my partner, Joe Choco, who wrote the books with me and everything, and Kevin. So those are going to be out too. Let's see, we got our animated podcast series coming in. So I don't know if you've seen Fratty's new Facebook and Instagram picture, but I think the guy did a pretty good job on you. I think
so. I did shave, so I messed it up on him because now I have the mustache instead of the big bushy beard.
I just did notice that. Yeah.
I'm now a cartoon. So
you are.
Get ready.
So watch out, Beavis and Butthead. Here we come, right?
Yes. So stay tuned. We'll start taking these episodes after we record them and put them into an animated episode version. So we'll get those up on Facebook and YouTube and some other places that I think Scof's about to talk about too.
Yeah. So now we've just carved out our own channel. So within the next week, we're going to be having, I saw Gary Vaynerchuk announce that he's on Roku, and I was like, damn it, I wanted to get ahead of the guy.
He beat us.
He beat us, but I mean, he's one of my idols. I love that guy. I mean, he's so positive, and he's such a good presenter and everything. So congrats, Gary. But yeah, we're going to be on Roku and on Fire TV. And that'll be out in the next couple weeks. And then we encourage anybody that likes our show to send in any type of comedy things that they've shot, short films. We'll take a look at everything. I mean, and then we'll make a decision to put it on the channel and categorize it.
Absolutely.
I've had Jeffrey Plansker. I had a drink with him. We've done a show at his place called The Bloke, and which is fantastic if you want to learn
Episode 7, Season 1.
Whoa, that's pretty good. I couldn't even begin to remember that. But anyways, that's at my age, I guess.
Wait, what's your name again?
Yeah, exactly. One more beer and I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But so Fratty's, I can't tell you, I was over at Jeffrey's place at The Bloke, and it just gets better every time I walk in the place. You know, it's got fantastic clothing and little tie clips and everything. So I'm talking to him, he did this series called Jalopy Hour. And he never really, I mean, it was out on his website and things, but he says, listen, I'd love to get out there, so let's get it up there. So we're going to have Jalopy Hour on our site, or on our channel. And then I've had several comedians reach out to us, and they're interested, so we got to look through it and filter it and make sure it's good comedy.
Absolutely.
And then there I go with so those two drinks for somebody. Yeah, exactly. And then
Scof, real quick, any artists out there, comedians that want to get their content on our channel, where should they send their submissions to?
I would just tell them to reach out to us on our at Scof at SCOF at SchofieldsFlowers.com or
Fratty with 2 T's and a Y
Yep.
at SchofieldsFlowers.com. Happy to take a look and get you up there and get out to our viewership so you can be the next YouTube star.
Yep. And then next thing is that our next episode I'm pretty excited about. We're going to have Chef_Quaz. He's got over 40,000 followers. Every time he jumps on Instagram, he sings to his food as he's, he actually plays food in the background.
Playing food in the background while he makes some music. Is that how it is?
Yes, exactly. So he actually he sings. He has music in the background and he sings to his food, like "Come on, baby."
Okay.
And we just had him over at the house, and he didn't cook for us. We actually went out to dinner, but I can't tell you. When you look at his food, it's just fantastic. So I'm super excited.
He's chef of the celebrities, is he not?
Yep, he's been doing several different big rappers.